So we're here at the cemetery gardens where we have created 8 new flower beds. And we started all this way back in March this year. We started to have this big area with just green lawn, and we wanted to incorporate more flower beds, more perennials. So we started with actually these, finding out the shape, how we wanted. This one we wanted to be really soft, curvy ones with thin on some of them, almost some of them like banana shaped ones. We have some smaller ones up in the backs, more circle ones, but still able, you can walk around and discover the flower beds from both sides. So what we started with, we took, just also to visualize, we had a paint spray. So we sprayed on the grass to kind of figure out how the size, how we wanted the curves to be. You could also use a rope or whatever you have at home, because that really visualizes how you want to make it. And then we actually started on the really tough work. That was creating the actual flower bed. So we removed the turf, the top layer, just that. And then we added some really nutritious soil that we mixed in both. We have different kind of tools. We had really heavy machines to mix it, also to make it really airy, so the ground wouldn't be so compact. So really ideal for new perennials. And then we went along, let it sit for a little bit, and then these ones we didn't grow from seeds. We ordered from a nursery, so we planted them. And already now, after just a few months, it has really gone really nice. Because plants are very expensive, so we were a bit stingy with that. So we bought some, but we also had some perennials in other flower beds that we then divided and added here. There's still a little bit empty soil. The goal is that we have it really covered, so we have to do less weeding. But already now the perennials are growing really nicely into each other along the lium, for example, later on, and the dicentra we have that will be covered by geranium, for example, that will take over. And we made a mix of different, almost like a cottage garden style. So it's an array of mix of perennials, but it's repeated in some of the other flower beds we already have throughout the garden here. So here, for example, we have a smaller flower bed, more like a triangle shape, and still with space, so we can easily both walk but also cut with a lawnmower. And for example, in this one, we keep it really, that also makes a really sharp flower bed, that you cut it really regularly with either like a handmade one that you do the etching here, or you can have we also have an actual machine that really cuts it really quickly. So that gives a really sharp edge here. But some of them, of course, we repeat them. So we have lower like border plants and then higher ones so you can walk around. But here, for example, the plaited twitan, all of them are actually being repeated in all the flower beds, also to give it some, like this red thread that you see it throughout, so it also flowers throughout the whole season is our goal. So for example, here we have some really nice that will quickly spread. We have some lupins almost about to have a flower here. And then if we jump to the other one over here, we also have some really pretty one. This one is called Kransalvie, and you can really see the insects, all the bees here are really busy in that one. And this purple one really is nicely right next to the løvefod here with a almost lime yellow color. It's really pretty. And as a really tall one, it's still kind of see-through. It's this really tall one, really pretty. It's called Kæmpeskældhoved. Has really big flower heads here. And they just, even before it flowers, look at that. It has really beautiful flower buds. We staked this one just for now, but the goal is after one season it will be more established, and then we can remove the small post here. And just along like the border here, then we have, again, because you can access it from both sides, so it's important for us to have the tall one, the delphiniums here, in a group, because they have a tendency, this one is not so tall, but we plant in a group because they have a tendency to fall in and here it can be quite windy compared to our garden at home. But that one is really nice, and we really think about placing it out different colors, more shades of yellow here, because that gives a nice pop of color and a nice contrast to the purple. So here's the løvehale here, the flumis will also spread and cover all this space here. So as you can see and maybe wonder, why is there still a lot of empty space here, clear soil? That really means a lot of weeding. But it's because we really have to be patient, because we have only had this for a few months, these plants in. Already by next season it will be already more covered and they will have spread more, and then we won't have to do all this weeding. And just to hit another plant here that's really also will be nice and bushy by time is the Indiana Munde, will be in white. So in nice contrast to right now, we have a lot of purples. Earlier on in the spring when we first placed them, we had the Kudriver that was yellow, we had the Gemsrå that was yellow. So throughout the season we also have popped some whites, and next to also this hortensia here later that will flower a little bit later, and the stjerneskærm here. So we will have, right now there's a lot of purple, but it will change throughout the season, which is also really nice to have different kind of color here in these flower beds. And also this is really doing well right now is the, if I go over here, the brændende kærlighed next to the, really that oozes of just cozy hygge, is the oxeye here, the marguerite is really pretty as well. And by time this will also spread really nicely. And again, another concept that we also do is this one, the sølvlys, that has like using dark foliage, so you have some contrast to the really the green foliage of the perennial. So this one is really much later, will have white stems with flowers, so that will really be a nice one too. And just to show you something that's finished for a long time ago is the allium here, but it's really sculptured, so we kind of leave it and we will not remove like the because it has seeds here that will later on in a few years become new allium. So small babies sitting here, when they're all brown, we'll just sprinkle them around, so the goal is that they will come up here, but the first year will just look like a little grass seed. So it's important that we don't weed around, so I have to be aware of that when we start weeding a little bit. So we do it here quite a lot. Once a week we go through it just to keep it down, because the more often we do it, then there's less weeding to do when we do it on a regular basis. Over in this flower bed here, we have repeated the plants because it gives really, compared to the garden at home where we don't repeat the same plant many times, but it really gives kind of a calmness that is in this flower bed, and in all of the other ones we have the same perennial repeating throughout all the flower beds, because it's still a place where you come and remember your family members. So it's a place it needs to have an atmosphere of calmness. So that's what we want to showcase here with the perennials, that is repeated in the flower beds. So this one is a yellow Kudriver that's, in old days we have a lot of families coming here saying, oh, when I was a kid I saw that everywhere out on the fields near the cows. And it's true, it is everywhere, but it's really an early flowering, so it really give a great yellow pop of color in early spring here in this flower bed. So the goal is here, because as I mentioned the alliums are finished, then we plant other perennials that will take over its space from these bulbs. This Roseanne, the geranium, is already now really spreading out, so it'll take over the area where another one has finished. So that's also the goal, that if one perennial is finished, another one will take over. So there will be, the goal is that it will be all year from early spring all the way to late autumn. There will be also perennial grasses that will always be something to look at when you come here. So when you want to create a new flower bed in your garden and you want to remove some of your grass, the first really important thing is that you dig down. Here we have dug down around 20 centimeters down, and the first thing, of course, we remove the turf, and then down here you come down to this old surface here. It's really compressed, and before we add new rich soil we really have to turn and aerate the surface, so the new and the old soil can work better together. Otherwise plants, they can't really penetrate that old soil. So that's why we use our tools really to get down there, and then you just turn it so they will work much better together, this new soil with the old one. There we go. So here you can really see how deep we have dug down and how we have turned the old soil and how aerated it's now before we're going to add the new soil to this flower bed, and then we're really going to mix it in, and then it'll be ready. It'll be settling a little bit before we're going to add the perennials and the other evergreen bushes before they start to grow in this season. So the next step in our flower beds is adding this really rich, nutritious new soil, and it's actually just horse manure, 100% horse manure. Really good for the plants to thrive in, and I hope we have enough. We have 4 pallets here, so we're going to add that with the old soil and really mix it in. So I'm super excited to see how the plants are going to do in this soil. So I hope you enjoyed this little video about how we have our perennials here at the cemetery garden, and I hope it can give you some ideas and also see a different kind of way how to garden compared to ours at home. So thank you for watching. Moin!